This interview with Mike Chandler for MMA Mania was recorded on June 15, 2016. Steve June, MMA Mania.
You're on with Mike.
Mr. Chandler, how are you doing this afternoon?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm really good, and I'm excited about this title fight that you're having at Bellator Dynamite 2 in St. Louis. But let me start out by asking you about this Vision Quest that you're on. What does that movie mean to you, and why did you decide to make that tribute?
It's always been one of my favorite movies of all time. I think you can't really you can't really be you can't really be a wrestler of my age and not love that movie, I think, like any older movies in the 80s and 90s and whatnot, the next generations are going to miss out on phenomenal cinematic adventures like Vision Quest was, if we don't continue to play tribute to it, if we don't continue, as a perfect example, the wrestling community coming together. I really hope it gets a lot of eyeballs because it's a phenomenal movie. Matthew Modine's a phenomenal actor. The movie has phenomenal, it's just such an inspirational film, and it was really a vision by Eric Burak of Bellator. And then we got a good director, Drew Gabreski, to kind of go on the quest of getting the thing done. And I was really just, was blessed to be the guy who, was being the centerpiece of it, But they did a phenomenal job putting it together. They did a phenomenal job of, getting it directed and getting it made and getting it edited. And I think we hit it out of the park. So I'm really excited about hopefully the splash that it makes in the wrestling community.
I am too, because I'm a kid of the 80s, and immediately when I heard the Lunatic Fringe music, I got excited because it's the same. You talk about what it means to wrestlers, and Kurt Angle and Dan Henderson both come out to that song as well.
Right? Yeah, it's a sweet song, man. And I loved the song before, and I loved the movie before, but honestly, I think I love it even more now, both of them, just because of kind of the experience, and I feel like I'm just, I'm emotionally tied to it. And so, like I said, I hope that a ton of eyeballs get on it, and we kind of push it, and we really make people go back and buy that DVD or even the VHS or and look it up. I think almost the whole thing is on YouTube, but really kind of play tribute to it and bring that sucker back because it's a phenomenal movie.
Well, one of the things that stuck with me about that movie is that there's such a big focus on weight cutting and how dangerous it is in the movie, which at that time as a kid, I hadn't really been exposed to what wrestlers go through trying to make weights for matches. And now it seems like that issue is coming full circle in MMA. I don't know if there was any thought of tying that in when you did this or not.
No, there really wasn't. But it definitely was crazy back then. And my dad wrestled back in the day, and, he talks about, putting on his plastic suit and wrapping himself up, literally rolling himself up in the wrestling mat. He would lay down and they would roll him up on the wrestling mat so he could sit there and sweat. And I think wrestlers and fighters, even though, we got some guys who aren't doing it right now, but I think as time progresses, I think guys are getting smarter with it. I mean, at the end of the day, it's all just about discipline. I quote unquote cut, over 30 pounds because I get up over 185. So that's typically or technically over 30 pounds of my weight class. But when I'm 185, I got a little fluff on me, and now here I am sitting at like 172, 175, probably 6% body fat, where a professional athlete should be, So I think it's just all discipline and hard work, and it'll, hopefully guys will continue to get smarter.
I agree. I hope that continues to be the plan and we don't have any dangerous weight cutting going forward. But I know commissions are trying to make it easier in some cases by doing the morning weigh-ins now and letting fighters come out when they're rehydrated and step on the scale for the public, just, for show at that point.
Well, yeah, especially the UFC, they do these big old weigh-ins and people, a lot of people show up. Bellator's been, with their big shows, they get a lot of people there. And, why not have us hydrated? Why not have us, with a little more life left in us? Why not have our faces look a little more full so the general public doesn't look at us and say, man, what the heck are these guys doing to their bodies? Keep that stuff behind doors, And when I'm not looking so good or not feeling so good and it's showing in my face, let it only be, the 20, 30 people on staff at Bellator plus the fighters, Don't put me out in front of everybody. It's just more aesthetically pleasing, I think, and it makes the sport look safer as well. And weighing in that, 7 a.m., 9 a.m., 10 a.m., whatever it is, whatever the UFC has done the last couple, and I heard that Bellator is doing this time. I mean, that's a phenomenal idea. What's the difference? Most guys are on weight the night before anyway. I'm within 4 or 5 pounds the night before. Then I have to sleep, get a crappy night of sleep because I'm, probably dehydrated and a little hungry. Wake up the next day, and then it's just a waiting game until, 2 o'clock when I finally get to cut my weight. Why not get it all done at, 7, 8 a.m., and then have all day to rehydrate my brain, rehydrate my muscles. More hydrated fighters are safer fighters. So it's definitely a good thing to move forward. And honestly, I'm trying to get a hold of the Missouri Commission right now, and I'm going to lobby for my fight next week. It's probably not going to happen, but it would be sweet if it did.
All right. Well, we hope that works out for you. But in the meantime, let me take you back a little ways, rewind the clock. We're not going all the way back to the 80s with this next question. We're just going back 5 years because this is not the first time you fought Patricky Freire. Last time you were on the road to the title to eventually facing Eddie Alvarez. This time it's for the title. But what are your memories of facing him 5 years ago?
Yeah, it does kind of light another competitive fire. Last time I fought him, I had my eye on the championship. I had my eye on blasting through this dude and then getting that opportunity to fight a top 5 guy in the world, Eddie Alvarez, and then we ended up having the phenomenal fight a couple months later with Eddie. But I kind of got that fire rekindled. It's time to blast through this dude again and break him mentally and physically and spiritually, and get that belt. I think he has continued to carry his power throughout the years. He still has power in his hands. He's still knocking dudes out. Still an exciting fighter because you never know when he's going to score the knockout. But I think he stayed pretty stagnant with his abilities. He has relied on his power, and he just kind of hopes for the best and swings for the fences. And then if he knocks you out, he's pumped. If he doesn't knock you out, he wilts. And I see him wilting within the first couple rounds of this fight. Go out there and break him, and then get that gold around my waist, kiss my wife, and then celebrate with my friends and family.
And it'll be a huge celebration if you do because, it's St. Louis, so this is like hometown fight. I know I've said that to you before, but man, that's got to be a good feeling fighting in St. Louis again. Yeah,
it's cool. I mean, it's good for me. It's good for Bellator. I mean, obviously Bellator likes me fighting there because they, sell tickets or something, sell a lot of tickets, or they wanted that to happen because I still wanted to fight on that May 14th card. Just like other promotions do, they find you a replacement. When a guy pulls out, and I wanted that to happen, I was prepared to do it, and I was ready to fight. And it turns out I had to wait an extra 7-8 weeks or whatever. So it's good for me. It's good for Bellator. So it's a good night. But it's my city. It's my night. It's my belt. It's already mine. It's a foregone conclusion. It's just time to go out there and make it come to fruition.
Well, you said Freire had stagnated a little in his style when it comes to the way he fights, but out of any of his last 4 fights, do you see anything that really suggests that he has improved in some way? Like, I know the Ryan Couture fight, we can't glean a lot from that one because it was only 3 minutes long, but what about the others?
No, I think the Ryan Couture fight, Ryan Couture, bless his heart, but he's a out of shape, pretty slow guy. He threw that inside kick and that really slow hook. I mean, I think anybody could have knocked him out that night. But I think Patricky is, he's very predictable. He swings wild. He swings looping punches. Those hooks, come out of nowhere. So you just got to keep your hands up, chin down, bite down on your mouthpiece, and, make it an ugly fight. I think I'm technically better than him. But if you look at some of his other fights, put it this way. I'm training with a guy named, Kevin Souza down here at the Black Zillions, and that dude came off the couch on 10 days' notice to fight Patricky in Italy, and after a 16-hour flight, Patricky took him to decision. So that'll kind of a telltale sign of where Patricky is, and I'm just excited. I'm ready, and I've improved because I've been on a constant quest. I know I've been gifted with phenomenal abilities and athletic ability and coordination and power in my hands, but I've never once taken it for granted, and I've never once slacked off and relied on it. I have a blue-collar work ethic, and I always will, and I think he's relied on his power so much to the point where he just thinks if he shows up, he'll probably get a knockout, but 7 guys have proved that wrong.
All right. Well, on a completely different tack, and I say this with a little bit of humor and a little bit of seriousness at the same time, how does it feel to not be fighting Will Brooks for a title this time?
No comment. Because every time I talk about that, bad things get said on headlines. So I don't really have any comments about him, and I know I'm getting the belt June 24th.
You know, it's yours for the taking. It's there up for grabs between you and Patricky, so somebody's got to walk away with it. But I wonder...
someone's got to walk away with it. Might as well be me.
I have no disagreement with that, and I just wonder, though, you said that he's gonna wilt in the first 2 rounds. Does that mean that you're predicting a first or second round finish?
I think he might make it through the second round, but he's not going to want to answer the bell. So it'll be a long night for him, whether it's 1 round, 2 rounds, 3 rounds. But I definitely, like I always do, and like I've proven that I do, I go out there and I look for the finish by overwhelming guys and putting them in a position where they have no choice but to give up, and that's kind of what I want to do. Obviously, it doesn't always happen, but that's what I work to do, and we'll see.
Well, out of the current contenders in the division, somebody's going to have to step up to face one of the 2 of you, probably you, after this fight's over. So who are you looking at down the road that you want to match up with?
Nobody in particular. I think there's a lot of talent, and they keep signing better, great and better guys. I want to see Josh Thompson come back, both for his career and for Bellator, and I respect Josh a ton. I've been a fan. I was a fan of him before I started fighting, back when I was just a wrestler. I remember watching him and Gilbert Melendez slug it out. And so I would just like to see him come back and give it one last hurrah. And it's a fight that the fans want to see. So hopefully I get to fight him. And obviously the matchup with Ben Henderson, that's a fight that people want to see as well. I mean, that fight's been talked about for years now. I was the champion of Bellator. He was the champion of the UFC. He was ranked number 1 in the world. I was ranked number 3 in the world. So, it's a situation where I'm excited to fight both of those guys, and I hope both of those fights happen.
I do too. Those 2 fights I look forward to if they take place. And would you rather that fight be in his hometown of San Jose if you fight Thompson, or do you want it right back in St. Louis again?
Well, I want to fight, all over the country and give, kind of spread my tenaciousness in the cage throughout the entire country, but I do enjoy fighting in St. Louis. I'd rather not fight in his hometown, even though I was 100% ready, willing, and able, to fight May 14th, and I was prepared to step into his hometown and enemy territory. But, we'll see, we'll see where the fights end up. Usually as champion, I can see myself probably ending up in St. Louis more often than not, because I am the champion, and to beat the champion, you gotta beat him on his turf. So we'll see what happens.
Right. Now, do you think Henderson needs to put together a couple of wins in the lightweight division to be a contender, or is just the fact that he's a former UFC champion, even though he lost his first Bellator fight, is his previous track record reason enough?
I think that guy's got a phenomenal track record. Let's be honest, when guys are leaving the UFC, they are getting pulled out of the rankings to trick people into thinking that they weren't really ranked as high as they were. That dude was still ranked, top 5 on the UFC roster in the lightweight division, before he decided he was going to test free agent waters, So he's got a phenomenal track record. The dude wins fights. He's an exciting fighter. I think he definitely ran into a buzzsaw against Koreshkov, and I don't know, man. I'm ready to fight him tomorrow, if I had to. So I'd like to see him get some wins, but I'd also like to fight him as soon as possible. So we'll see what Bellator and Coker and Rich Hugh have up their sleeve, or what they have in the plans. And all I know is on the night, June 24th, I'm going to beat Patricky, and when I step into the cage against Benson or Thompson or any of the guys on the roster, I'm going to show up and put on a good show.
About the only matchup I can think of in the lightweight division where I'd be torn right now is if you went in there and had another fight with David Rickles in St. Louis. I mean, you've got the track record against him already, but you two are both so popular in that state that, man, a third fight between the two of you, it would tear fans up.
Yeah. At this point, no offense to him, but you can only finish a guy so devastatingly, so quickly, that he needs to win a lot of fights before he gets a third fight against me, you know. And I say that with no disrespect, but I mean, there's a lot of other guys in line before Dave Rickles, you know.
I think the one feather in his cap is he survived a round longer than he did the first time, so he might think he's going to keep...
and that is a tough dude, man. My hands were hurting, and he was literally not. I don't even know if he was really conscious during that. After that one big shot landed, he was just kind of on autopilot, and it's just a testament to his toughness, his will, his heart. He's a nice guy, funny guy. I wish him nothing but the best, and I hope he continues to win fights and come back and fight me for the title later on, you know.
Yeah, that's something I think could happen in the future, but like you said, he'll have to put together a few and try to get there. But in closing, your final thoughts about Patricky Freire?
I'm just excited. Like I said, I'm the best I've ever been right now, and I'm excited to go out there and compete, whether it's Patricky or whether it's anybody. I feel like I'm the best version of myself I've ever been, so I'm excited. And, I just, thank you for the opportunity for the interview. And, June 24th, everybody tune in, Spike TV. I'm going to put on a phenomenal show and walk away with that belt.
I'll throw out one plug on your behalf. Social media, I want everybody to get on right now on Twitter and go ahead and follow Mike Chandler because he is an amazing fighter and you're going to want to know what he's doing at all times. Mike Chandler, MMA. And sponsors, if you have any to mention, go ahead.
Oh, yeah, thank you very much. American Ethanol, Monster Energy, Toyota Escondido, and Adidas Combat Sports are my sponsors, and they've been with me through the thick and the thin, and I appreciate everybody, all my coaches and training partners down here in Boca at the Jackal Hybrid Training Center. And thank you for the opportunity. And I have become a new to the Snapchat game. So I'm Snapchatting now, Mike Chandler MMA as well. So Mike Chandler MMA across all social media platforms pretty much. And I love interacting with the fans. I love talking to them. I love their pats on the backs and their positive stuff. I love their negative stuff. I appreciate everybody.
All right. Well, on June 24th at the Scott Trade Center in St. Louis, Missouri, the best Mike Chandler you've ever seen. And that's going to be something really special because we've already seen a lot of amazing fights. So, Mike, I look forward to it on June 24th. Go out there and bang. We'll have a fun time watching you.
You got it. Thank you very much. Have a good one.
You too. Thank you.